Okay, got it. Good morning, guys. Can you hear me okay? Sorry. Give me 1 second. Let me just pull up Trading View and we will get this party going. Okay, cool. I am so sorry. It's just been the oddest thing ever. Zoom won't open as soon as I click on it. Um, it just did not open. But anyways, so we are being live streamed. We are on YouTube. Okay, perfect. Everything looks great. All right. Let's get this party started. I was just a little bit confused in the beginning. I was like, what is going on? How's everybody doing? Happy Halloween. Good morning. How's everybody doing here? Let me fix my Trading View. Okay, this is a perfect view. Yay. Great. Awesome. Okay, everything's in place. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful day. Not very many gaps out there, but the gaps that I did like are pretty, I mean, we do have a pretty decent tradable day today. Let's just look at the SPY and the Qs real quick, and then we'll get this party going. Ron's, oh, hey Ron, hey Win, hey everybody, what's up? Let me just pull up YouTube also so I can read comments and look at their tickers also. All right, cool. SPY, not a very, I mean, it's just, you know, it's there. It's not really a big gap. There's no real gap. I think majority of the tickers are likely just gonna do something like this, including SPY and the Qs. You know, we're gonna come up to the 10 EMA, see what kind of you know, push we get, and then roll over from there. So that's what my idea of this whole thing is. The Qs look exactly like that also. I mean, yesterday was a pretty decent bounce day. I mean, you know, we had we had a little bit of a push at midday and then it continued up. But yeah, but today too, I feel like the gaps don't really tell me any stories, and without gaps it's kind of hard to predict, you know, which way we're going to go. I'll show you a couple of examples of good and bad gaps, and we'll take it from there. For all of my seasoned traders out here, you guys know the importance of gaps, but yeah, as of right now I don't really see anything here, so I'm not gonna guess a direction. I'm just going to trade the charts. So, you know, if there's a setup there, I will take it, which is good. I'll take it. If there isn't a setup, I'll just, but the trend is bearish. So I prefer a trade in a bearish direction. You know what I mean? But if a bullish trade setting up, we'll take it. It's okay. We'll play with it. If pre-market sits in the wick, is that considered a gap? You mean like, yes, yeah. So, well, it's not really a gap. So what Ron's saying is if pre-market is in this wick, is it really considered a gap? Ron, I consider gaps when they're above or below wicks. So wicks were still also yesterday's movement. So if we looked at like the 15-minute chart, you know, this area was still there. So I would like it if we were opening above 350 or below here. Yeah. Okay. Apple had earnings yesterday and it didn't really do much to remove the markets. I thought it would move it a little bit more, but it didn't really do much. My favorite gap, I have a couple of favorite gaps today. My favorite gap today is NVIDIA. Now, you could also say this is in the wick and it's not really a gap, but we're missing the gap by a little tiny bit. What I'd like to point out, guys, is that we've been sitting around the 400 range for quite a bit. Well, we've been poking around the 100 range for quite a bit. Let's put it that way, not sitting around. For sitting around, I mean, we've had 3 days of that range, and let me tell you guys, the more times we poke something, the more times we poke the bear, it wakes up. There will, I mean, we've had like 4 or 5 pokes, the chances of us breaking down are much, much higher, right? Or using this as support and going higher. But I love this gap today. It is considered a gap and go, not my favorite kind of gap and go, but it is a gap and go. And then we're gapping down today. So I would want to trade bearish today for NVIDIA, and we'll see if there's any bear setups that come around for this guy. Sebastian says Tesla. Let's check that out also. Let's go over Chewy real quick. Chewy happens to be my very, very, very favorite gap today. It's gapping up above this red candle. It's gapping up above all of its resistance. On the weekly chart, we have the 10 EMA right here. So we might have some turbulence there, but until there, we have nothing. And if you guys look, I mean, this is a lot of bears in action, right? So even if you think maybe a couple of bears will close out their position, that's enough to push us a little bit higher. On the daily too, it's a lot of bear action in a row. So I kind of like this setup to the bullish direction. So if the markets decide to go bullish today, we'll trade Chewy. If the markets decide to go bearish today, NVIDIA is my favorite one. So we'll trade NVIDIA bearish. For NVIDIA, what I'm thinking is maybe just an entry around here. And I'm not sure where the target should go. Honestly, target could go down all the way. I don't know if we're going to drop 25 points today, but hey, if we're going to have a bear day, I think NVIDIA is a really good candidate. Chewy has 18% short float. Okay, cool. That should push it up. Yeah, I'm excited to trade Chewy for sure. Pins and CCJ also have gaps. So I was looking at pins earlier, and I actually like this gap, but I think pins, unlike Chewy, I think pins is more going to be like a profit taking territory, where all these bulls are going to pile in and just want to take profits. So it is at resistance. Yes, it's a phenomenal gap, but it's gapping up to resistance. Like I would have loved it if pins was gapping around $30 range. Let's see if at open it gets bought up. I would like to short it back down, unlike Chewy. So yeah, pins is very fadeable here. That's how I feel. Even on the weekly, I mean, this is a long-standing resistance level, even on the weekly level. Like if we were gapping all the way up to like 32, I'd have a different theory about it. But yeah, just where it's gapping, I feel like we could pull back a little bit. So fade is what I'm looking for on pins. Let's look at CCJ real quick. Yep. This is a pretty decent. I never trade this. What does the volume look like on this? It's an earnings gap. I see that. But I really like this gap up too. This is a pretty, let's see. Yep. So if you're trying to trade CCJ, I have way too many tickers on my, but I'll add CCJ to the list and I will scoot it up a little bit. Okay, so if you're trying to trade this thing, I would say buy any dip. I guess we might pull back a little bit, but I mean this is a pretty decent gap to go, right? It's pretty decent. We're kind of sort of gapping above this big volume red candle. Also, we're not really gapping above, but we're kind of close. I mean, we're in close territory right now. So yeah, I mean this has the potential to go up. I would say try to buy the dip, try to get in as low as you possibly can. You might have to trade it pre-market and it may not give you a chance to get in at your desired entry, which would be as low as possible. Just like last time when we were trading and something else was gapping up like that. NVIDIA was gapping up. So yeah. Okay, you guys are talking about something else. Let's see. Hold on. What's in Slack? When? I can't open Slack here for some reason. What do you think of AMD? Let's check out AMD. Advanced micro devices. This guy has been, I kind of got stopped out and I'm really mad about it. Because I was really excited about this move up and I was so bullish. Well, by so bullish, I mean I had 100 shares. So I did endure a 2R loss on it. So my stop was actually 95. I put my entry over here, somewhere around 105. And, I didn't take profits up here at all. I was just really excited about this move up. I didn't take profits. I should have maybe just moved my stop to break even, but I didn't do that. And I moved my stop up to 99 to 100, essentially. And I got stopped out. So yeah, I'm kind of mad about that. AMD, not really a gap there specifically, per se. Like if I were to trade something today and I had to, like if you put a gun to my head and said you have to take a trade, AMD would not be one that I'd be trading. I'm pretty sure there's a weekly moving average somewhere around 95. Yep. Yeah. So there's the 100 and there's the 50, just right around here on a weekly level. So again, I'm not saying AMD can't go any lower. It obviously can, but if I were to trade something today, it would be NVIDIA over AMD. Just a preference thing. But again, if the markets take a bullish turn long above this guy here, short below this guy down here. And yeah, but AMD, just like Tesla, remember when Tesla was at that territory where it was just tricky waters? We just couldn't trade it because it was in those moving averages. Now Tesla becomes really easy to trade because it's out of those moving averages. So AMD is just one of those candidates. If given the option, I would leave it alone and find something else. But yeah. Weekly SMA is at 95. Yep. There we go. All right. Okay, cool. Let's go check out Apple. Wait, did Apple not report? Okay, cool. Apple is a pretty decent gap down. This is a pretty decent gap and go, you guys. I am happy about this. Like this is looking good right now. Let's look at this for a bear trade. I have a rule not to short Apple. I do not like shorting Apple because it just, anytime it dips, it just becomes buyable and everybody just jumps right back in. So it's very hard to short, in my opinion, but this is a pretty decent gap and go. I kind of like, I'm going to move Apple up a little bit. And yeah, I kind of like it in the bearish direction. So, everybody that bought yesterday, let's look at the 15-minute chart. Yeah, so everybody that bought yesterday is going to get out right at open. They're just, the fact that we're opening all the way here is just scary for a lot of buyers yesterday. We have some buyers trapped. We have, some bears jumping in. I think this will be a pretty decent bear play today. So yeah, let's keep a close eye on Apple. All right, AMCN, Amazon. Nothing really crazy happening here. There's no real gaps here. We are kind of, gapping above this candle, kind of, sort of, barely. We're opening very close to yesterday's high. Let's put it that way. So on Amazon, it's weird how every ticker is doing its own individual thing. This is how I like the markets to be. Back in the day, I hate it when the whole market behaves one way in a synchronized move. So yeah. So right now we have a couple of bull and bear candidates. Amazon, I would like to see a continuation to at least this gap fill area, 135, right? And it's looking good, right now. It's not as weak as the rest of the markets. It's not as weak as the rest of the tickers, per se. So yeah, I kind of like Amazon to the bull side. Let's check out Netflix real quick. Oh, Apple had a MacBook event last night. That's what it was. So I was like, I'm pretty sure something happened with Apple and it was in the news yesterday when I was driving. I was listening to it. But okay, cool. Sorry about that. I thought Apple had earnings yesterday. But yeah, cool. Netflix. This ticker will not, it's just very frustrating. It's like when it drops a whole bunch. And when it gets going a whole bunch. So it's just, I feel like, a lot of people are hopeful for this gap fill area and whatnot, but it looks like it's S curving to the upside right now. And if it does, it's okay. We'll see where it goes. As far as a day trade's concerned, I don't really see anything here today. So I'll just leave it alone. I won't really mess with it too much. Let us go check out Tesla. La Tezzles. This guy has been weak sauceville, right? I mean, I was looking at the monthly chart and it's not looking very good. Okay, so let's look at Tesla real quick on some SMAs, weekly charts, monthly charts, just kind of sort of get an idea of what could happen next. As far as a day trade's concerned today, I mean, if it wants to go short, sure, we could take it, but it's kind of extended. I mean, it's got really low RSI on the daily. So I feel like, a little bit of bounce could come in and then we could see a rollover. But again, that goes to say it doesn't, I don't think it's not going to go any lower. It could obviously go much, much lower. Just looking at the weekly chart, if we're looking at the next level of support, it is at 180. So, that's where I'd be looking for some buying to come in, some additional bounce to come in. I added some shares to my long-term account at 200, just because that was a plan. I mean, there was no real reason. I had just been telling myself that I was going to do that, so I did that. But when I say some shares, I don't mean, like 200 or 400. I mean like 12 shares. That's just what I did. So yeah, it's not a whole bunch, but it's a little bit here and there. So I added some shares there. I will add a lot more. I'll add close to 50 at 180, and then we'll see where it wants to go. When I was looking at the monthly chart, it's at the 50 SMA on the monthly chart. I don't know if there's any real, I mean, there is support at 180, but I don't know if there's real bouncage coming in. Just this long-term moving average, I kind of like it. As far as the day trade's concerned today, guys, I don't really have a trade in it. I mean, yes, it's bearish, but if it gives me, actually, I'd be more interested in trading it bullish for some reason. If it gives me a bull play, I'd be much more excited just because it's extended. I bet the 4-hour RSI is super, super low too. Let's see if there's any divergence. Yeah, see, there's a little tiny bit of divergence on the 4 hours too. So I'd be much more interested in trading it bullish than bearish. It is kind of low. Tesla, I know for a fact that every time it gets down to really low RSI, it has bounced usually. And my favorite kind of play, guys, if you guys remember, is divergence play. So yeah, I'd be looking out for a bounce. Worst case scenario, we could trade it bearish if there is a bear play. But if this thing gives me a bullish 10 EMA, I'd be much more interested in it. So yeah, Caterpillar is a gap and go. Yes, Cindy says. Let's go look at Cat. I have it on my chart. I kind of sort of like this gap and go, but the only reason I'm hesitant about this is because of that many bear candles. So guys, and I would 100% do this. If I was a bear here on this day, and we gap down today, what do you think I would do today? I would take some profits, right? I would take at least 10, 20, 30% off. Well, those of you that know me really well, I would take it all probably. But, some profit taking is going to happen here. That's the only hesitation I have over Caterpillar. I know they had some bad earnings. This is construction machinery company. So I know they're having bad earnings and I know they're struggling and I know there's not very many new buildings happening, blah, 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 blah. I get the point. But I feel like today there might be a little bit more profit taking. So I'd actually be looking for a bounce on this. But again, we'll see. The gap and go play, honestly, I love the gap and go play on NVIDIA and Chewy. But these Caterpillar and Pins, I don't really like that too much. Pins is not a gap and go. I don't think Pins is a gap and go, but yeah, I don't really like these gaps too much for continuation to the downside. So yeah, that's my only hesitation. Just too many bear candles. I was looking at it and I know I had it on my chart too and I knew about it, but yeah, it's just my 2 cents. Let me go circle back to YouTube and see what they've been saying. Give me 1 second. What do you think about MNTS and IBRX? Ooh, those are momentous. Cool. I like this for a continuation up. Let me just check out the weekly though. Yeah, I like it. It is clearly S curving up. So yeah, it looks like a bull flag breakout. I mean, it's not really broken out yet, but yeah, I like it. Weekly 10 EMA would be my target for today. So and I love the fact that we're closing above. I mean, we're opening above this candle. I really, really like it. Might be watching this. I have a rule of not day trading tickers below $10. And it's just because I've been burned in the past. It's just in my trading plan. So I don't typically day trade these things, but every now and then one ticker will pop up and it's got a really good setup and I kind of like it. So I'll look at it. Sundial being one of them. I remember when all of you guys were trading that heavily. So Sundial was definitely an exception. I'll keep an eye on it for you and I'll see where it goes. But yeah, continuation. I like it above long. And I think it could get going for sure. I like it. What was the other ticker that you mentioned? Sorry, these are not tickers that I normally look at. IBRX. Okay, cool. Let's check that out. Ooh, this guy, I would say a pullback is coming for this guy. I wouldn't go long right now for a day trade. It's at resistance. So if it can go up a little bit and you can find a way to short this thing, that's where I would go. That's where my money would be. I would not be going long this thing. I mean, it is a lot of volume. I get it. It is. And it looks like it's in that wave 3 momentum right now. But it's a little bit extended for my comfort right now. So you could do 2 things. You could either buy the dip, but it won't be a day trade, or short for a day trade today. If you can find a shortable trade setup, I think that's what I would do. But I like MNTS a little bit more than this guy. So just keep an eye out there for that. I hope that answers your question. It looks like the Qs are dropping a little bit. Let's go over the Qs real quick. Futures. Okay, so we're gonna put lines here, and we're gonna set out some territories. So I know we're hovering around this range, but this is where I think the Qs should should kind of just kind of sort of hover around, right? So if we break out of here, I'd be very interested in going long, because above that, it's just a whole bunch of bear candles. So all the bears will get out, which I doubt will happen, but if it does, I'd be interested in it. And down here, there's a lot of support. So this is where I'd be looking for a bounce. So it's a pretty decent, 100-point territory. And I kind of like that 130-point territory. So yeah, I kind of like this range a little bit. So I'll keep an eye out for this, these purple lines, and trade within those boundaries today. So, yep, that's my plan so far. Does anybody have any other tickers on YouTube land for me to look over? If you do, feel free to type it in and I will go over that for sure. Okay, cool deal. I'm looking forward to, trading today. It's just it's very undecisive day kind of day. Especially on Q's and SPY. I don't really see a direction per se. I can't just tell you, oh, we're gonna go higher, oh, we're gonna go lower. I mean, we could go higher up to the 10 EMA. I think that's where some resistance would come in, and then we could see that rollover. So, if we go higher, I wouldn't be so opposed to it. We have some bullish tickers and we have some bearish tickers. Let's look at Nvidia real quick. Yeah, it's just not gaining momentum to the upside at all. So I really, really, really like this for short right at open. I know Ron, my friend, likes to front run me. So if you're ready for this, let's go get them. Well, you always beat me to my entries, Ron. So let's do this. You're working on it right now. I know you are. All right, guys. It is time for me to say goodbye on YouTube. I will see you guys.